So many people will be beneficiaries of the work that you do and support and advocate for. So Bob, thank you very much for including me. Thank our NFL players, but thank all of you in this room. I'm medical personnel and others who are doing and wounded warriors. So thank you very much, Bob. You know, I told somebody I'm old enough, and everybody knows how old I am, so I admit it anyway, but to have listened to Laura's grandfather. Laura's grandfather. I know some of you aren't going to even know what's that name about, Arthur Godfrey. But some of you, we got some older people in the back of the room there, yeah, gotcha. But I remember when I first met Bob Schmidt, and he was, I think you were dating Arthur Godfrey's daughter at that point in time, your grandmother, Laura, at that time. And all of us were so impressed that we knew this guy who was dating Arthur Godfrey's daughter. And I'm still impressed with Bob Schmidt. Thank you very much.
Congressman Hunter, where are you?
Oh, right.
Come on up.
Congressman Duncan Hunter served 3 tours as a Marine, and he's from San Diego, my area, and I'd like him to say a few words. He's on the Armed Forces Services Committee, and he is a friend of everything we're trying to do.
Ron, thank you. Thanks. The San Diego Chargers, the great San Diego Chargers, standing fantastic. I was telling my, where are you at, John? Marine Gunnery Sergeant John Rose right here. Half his face blown off, right side blown off. We're in San Diego, so we have the Navy SEALs, we have the Marine Corps bases. We tried doing hyperbaric chambers there. Instead, the VA still, now, today, makes you drive up to Los Angeles, pay about $1,000, and go up there and come back down. They don't endorse it, they don't support it. We're here to make it happen. But I was telling John that this could be a Democrat majority if Steny was in charge, because people love you, and you do a great job. Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, the hyperbaric chambers that you're working on, not just for NFL players, but for the military, this is one of the biggest things that we could do for our country. Diabetics, people with any kind of wounds, it totally works, and the VA is not supporting it. So we need to jump on them, because once the VA does it, then that'll push it to everywhere. We need to make the VA accept this. It's way cheaper. Well, I'll wait for your talk for that, but it's way cheaper, and it saves lives, and it helps guys out, and it's not that hard. It's cheap, it's easy, it's efficient, and it works. So thanks for doing this. Thanks for having me, and God bless you guys. Hey.
I need to tell you a little bit about our organization. The Pro Football Retired Players Association came about as a result of a settlement we had with the NFL in 2013, what was called the Image and Likeness lawsuit. And when that happened, the court created our organization to administer the settlement. And as a court-appointed organization, we're doing our best. But we're not the only party that's involved in retired players. But what I want to emphasize, this isn't about us. This is about the real heroes of our country, the soldiers, and the wounded warriors who absolutely lay it on the line every day. And where we connect is that the issues of traumatic brain injury that the military has are absolutely synonymous with the same concussion issues we deal with on the football field. So what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish, and what the congressman said from San Diego is absolutely right on. We want to use our celebrity as professional athletes to get this whole new method of treatment in place now. Treat Now is the name of it. And if we can do that, everybody in this room is deputized. You can take a role in this. You can talk to your friends. You can talk to your fellow military people, to your congressmen. We're going to make it happen, okay? But I want to take a moment out and introduce our board. Standing on either side of me here, I've got Mike Haynes, Hall of Famer with the Patriots and Raiders. Next to him, Jack Youngblood, Hall of Famer with the Rams. Next to him, Ray Schonke, not a Hall of Famer, but my Hall of Famer with the Redskins and the Cowboys. On my right, got Ron Mix, Hall of Famer with the Chargers. Billy Joe Dupree, the cowboy. I know you Redskin fans don't want to remember Billy Joe, but he did a lot of damage when he was with the Cowboys.
Amen, brother.
Next to him is another Hall of Famer, Dave Robinson. And next to him is another great Redskin, Dexter Manley. And again, Brian DeMarco, another great ball player. What I'm trying to tell you is that why we're here is not about a Roy Jefferson, and you're going to hear from Roy Jefferson. He was hiding behind Dexter. I'm sorry, I didn't see you, Roy. Ron Brown, where's Ron? Ron Brown?
Back
In
here.
the back. All right, Ron Brown, there he is in the back. All right. The point is, this is the time. We don't need to research. The research is there. This whole concept of hyperbaric has been proven beyond a doubt in Israel. It's all over. And why there's resistance, we're not here to criticize. We're here, let's make it happen. Let's bring it to fruition right now. Now, I'd like to ask another gentleman who's been very much in the forefront of this, Dr. Rob Beckman. Would you come up here, please, and tell us a little bit about your organization, Treat Now? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm here to briefly let you know that 3,800 plus people, some of whom are in this room, have benefited from hyperbaric oxygen treatment, healing. Despite what you may hear about alternative medicine, it works. Dr. Sam Shore, for example, out of Reston, Virginia, doing brilliant work with Roy Jefferson just recently. I can go on and on about all the people in the room, Dr. Bill Duncan, etc. It's a nationwide, indeed worldwide coalition of pro bono veterans trying to stop the suicide epidemic. We're having terrific success when we find them, but we're looking for them. They're looking for us, but more importantly, we want to get it insured, get the VA using it, etc. One of the reasons that I'm here, 10 years worth of this, is because of former Secretary of the Army, Marty Hoffman, and his wife, Muggy Hoffman, is here to just say a word, Muggy. She's sitting back there. There's Steve Reimers. There's a host of Treat Now people who have contributed blood, treasure, time, money to make this happen. Is Liz? Liz, can you come up while Muggy makes her way? Liz is the wife of a brain-injured vet. She's going to just say a quick word, and then Muggy will say a quick word. Liz is brilliant, you can see, and she's with the Elizabeth Dole Foundation. She has a word on that.
Hi, first, thank you, Rob, for having me here and for inviting me. This is amazing to see, the passion in this room about helping our veterans and our military members who are suffering with these silent but deadly wounds. My husband, as Rob had mentioned, was injured in Afghanistan in 2011. Gunnery Sergeant K9, out on patrol, IED went off behind him about 3 feet. The Marine behind him lost both of his legs and suffered severe injuries beyond that as well. My husband, when blown about 15 feet downhill, lost consciousness. When he came to, he had to come to the aid and recovery of that Marine. It wasn't diagnosed. Nothing was told about my husband's injury. The headquarters told me, your husband suffered minor physical injuries, and he stayed in field, or in combat. He stayed in theater. My husband loves his job. He tried to push through. Unfortunately, the injuries and the symptoms of these injuries overtook him, and he got out of the military at 14 years of service. As his caregiver, and to many of you who know, especially as you as athletes, your loved ones are the ones who witness the most. They're the ones who burden the pain that you're suffering and try to push you along to get you the care that you need. And it's with foundations like the Elizabeth Dole Foundation who's raising awareness for these military and veteran caregivers, because it's these caregivers who are going to get the veterans the care they deserve and they need. I was very fortunate to get my husband into 40 treatments, and it was life-changing for him. To see a SPECT scan image of his brain injury, which I had to pay for out of pocket, because unfortunately the VA does not pay for that kind of imagery, that saved his life. To be able to hold a picture, to show something physical to something that you can't see, And, I don't like using the word invisible injuries. It's not what it is. Let's call it what it is. It's a traumatic brain injury. It is a physical injury, unlike everything else you could do to yourself. It's a physical injury. So, I can't urge you enough to support the caregivers in your community. Reach out to them, see what they need. Reach out to their loved ones who are suffering with these injuries, with these brain injuries, because people don't get it. They may look fine talking to you in person, but when they go home, they're suffering, they're hurting. And I know you can all understand and appreciate that. And so I just thank you for this quick moment to share with you. I'm here if anybody has any further questions about the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, about our work with caregivers, and any questions about my husband and our efforts with hyperbaric oxygen therapy.
I just have to say that this is one of the most elegant, bright, attractive, passionate women. We're blood brothers tracking this for 4 or 5 years. And she's here now. Muggy Hoffman.
Thank you, Rob. Yeah. Nobody's this short. I just thank you all for being here. And I applaud the reason you're being here. My husband gave the last years of his life to seeing that hyperbaric oxygen somebody would pay attention, and that's us. It doesn't mean it's somebody else downtown. And I'm grateful to all of you, every one of you, and so is he. Thank you.
We've got 2 parties that we're going to hear from. One of them is a longtime friend of mine. We first met back in '72 when he was demonstrating his prowess as a great receiver for the Redskins, Roy Jefferson. And we were connected through the Vince Lombardi Foundation, which a number of us got involved and built the cancer center at Georgetown named for Coach Lombardi. But Roy Jefferson is another one of those people who suffered with all sorts of concussion issues over the history, not only of his playing days, but then post-playing days. And thanks to this Dr. Sam Shore here, who gave him the opportunity to have hyperbaric oxygen. But Roy and Candy, come on up here, please. Tell us what we need to do.
This is my partner. 54 years. They, when I say they, I'm talking about my daughter who's trying to find this place. And my wife realized some differences in me after I had had these treatments. But I fought them. They, I have a memory problem, but I said, well, I'm old, so, I should have a memory problem. But it was a little bit more than that. And I would actually have to call home sometimes and say, hey, where do I turn on so-and-so street? Things like that. I mean, I can, I live in Springfield. I could go all the way out to Centerville, go to my golf lessons and stuff. And, I mean, I could drive a long ways to a lot of places. But I also could get lost. I didn't want to believe it. I mean, it was real. And Sam gave me the opportunity to go through these treatments. And I actually realized improvements in my ability to understand more about my direction of challenges. And it was, it made me believe that if I were able to get these treatments, you know, on a daily basis, that I could be a little bit more cognitive, you know, positive. But this young lady here can explain to you some things that I didn't want to admit to.
I'll move it down. Roy and I, like you said, we've been married for 54 and a half years. And so he's been out of football for 40 years. And so sometimes, you know, you get out of football and things move along and you can say, well, the person is grieving about football. But for Roy, some of the changes that happened to him, he really didn't want to admit or acknowledge. And so dealing with that can be difficult. And I think it was probably was it November, Dr. Shore, that he saw you at an NFL meeting, and you offered him the treatments. And my family, my daughter, my granddaughter, we were really happy because Roy had done a hyperbaric treatment out in LA with his cousin Laura Fleming, and felt really rejuvenated just within one treatment. So we are really very, very happy for the treatments that he got. His clarity improved, his tracking improved, and hyperbaric treatments are really, really important for brain concussions and many, many things. Thank you for listening.
I do a thing that a lot of people don't realize. I introduce myself and tell you about my heritage. But my name is Roy Lee. They used to call me Sweet Pea. Jefferson Jr. Straight out of Watson, Compton, baby. So now you got it all.
I'm standing in for General Pat Maney. Pat, are you here?
I can't find it.
I apologize, I don't know where he is, but he is the first wounded veteran treated with hyperbaric oxygen therapy. A brilliant career, judicial. Marty Hoffman brought him in to save Afghanistan, and he was blown up, spent 15 months in Walter Reed, and was in the toilet. Legal career over, military career over, life over. And Marty got him into treatment, George Washington, and miraculous. He retired, he's a elected judge down in Florida, and I wish you were here. You would not believe how articulate this man is after what he has been through. He travels the world preaching veterans' courts. Veterans who come before the court are presumed from the get-go, depending on the circumstances, to need medical help, to get diagnosed properly, mitigating circumstances, the whole thing. What Pat Maney has done has saved countless incarcerations and suicides. And he travels relentlessly out of Florida, now retired, arguing the cause for treating veterans the way they need to be treated. The fact of the matter is that he was the first. There's 800,000 more to go. And that's just post 9/11. 800,000 from my generation, the Vietnam War generation. So what I'm trying to drive home here is the tip of the iceberg is here. The problem of 800,000 and 800,000 is minor compared to the 5 to 7 million non-diagnosed and non-treated brain injuries from strokes and falls and just a host of brain insults. If Pat Maney were here right now, guarantee he would tell you it is absolutely up to us. There is a resistance, but we're winning. We've got them surrounded. No kidding. The research worldwide, Alternative medicine, it's not easy, chiropractic, acupuncture, and go on and on. But alternative therapies, starting with hyperbarics, and a variety of other alternative therapies, accelerate brain healing. There's a wound to the brain. Every time you hear the word concussion, all these guys sitting up here, they know a concussion is a momentary blip, get back on the field. Jack, you know this, smelling salts. They can't even count how many times they got dingers and stingers and so on and so forth. I can go on and on what that does through the concussion cascade. Pat Maney has become kind of brain expert as well, and he knows what it does to your executive function, judgment. Your judgment gets impaired, you start using substances to try and deal with the pain and the depression and so on and so forth. And Pat will tell you, you get into that cycle early and you save lives. So in his name, I know what he would say. It's up to us. There are millions of Americans with undiagnosed brain injuries, and we can help, and we're helping every single day.
The Pro Football Retired Players Association is here for one fundamental basic reason: to use the celebrity of our professional football careers to help the wounded warriors, the real soldiers. And we get the benefit of it because the symptoms that we have from the field are the same, okay? But if we don't recognize what we should be doing for the soldiers, I feel like we've lost a tremendous opportunity to do the right thing. Now, there's an information table we have over here, so please, before you leave, pick up the information that tells you more about what Treat Now is and what our organization is doing. And in addition, we have a gift for you. We have a hat from our organization, which is, our brand name is Football Greats Alliance, but we're the Pro Football Retired Players Association. And again, I want to give a shout out to Ron Brown from the Players Congress, which is another organization working with retired players. Elvis Gooden, where's Elvis? Raise your hand wherever you are.
You had to step out, Bob.
You had to step out. Kyle Richardson, who's also a great former player. James Trapp, where's James? There's James over there. Who's here that I forgot? Please. I just can't say enough about the fact that these players are thinking about others, soldiers. That's the name of this game. If we'll do the right thing, this will change the manner and the face of this whole issue, and we can say you played a part in it. Thank you very much.
On my right hand, you can see the Pro Football Hall of Fame ring. I know you can see it because it's big. My wife says we could use it as an addition to the home, but she exaggerates. As much as this means to me, the most treasured personal possession I have are my dog tags from having served in the United States Army. It was a small thing to do to repay the gratitude I have for even existing in this great country of America. My father came from Russia at age 13, sent by his family, the first of 3 children, to escape the anti-Semitism in Russia. I came to know in the Army what it takes to be a soldier. I've seen what it takes to be a pro football player. I've learned a great deal about injured war veterans because my wife trained service dogs for wounded veterans at Camp Pendleton, and we threw a couple of fundraisers for them. I got to know them personally. There's so many similarities. For instance, although it takes far more courage to be a combat veteran than a football player, football players have to have courage too. We take thousands, literally thousands of full collision hits, and not only do we take them, but we also seek them out. In addition, to be successful in either of our fields, football or the service, you've got to have a respect for authority. You've got to be able to follow orders. You've got to be coachable in both of them. It takes great physical conditioning. In 12 years of professional football, working out year-round, still, the finest condition I was ever in was after finishing 12 weeks of basic training at Fort Ord. There's something else about the two entities that are similar. We both depend on performance. That's how we judge people. Can you do the job? It has nothing to do with bias, prejudices about race, religion, gender, sexual orientation. All we want to know in both of them, can you do the job? If you can, we respect you. You know, we are here, as Bob said, for the wounded war veterans. We all have the same condition. I'm familiar with a study of 115 football players using diagnostic tools, a sophisticated kind of SPECT scan imaging of the brain. 113 of the 115 had some level of brain damage. And yet, there's very little treatment that's available that is this endorsed for our veterans. We can all go out and pay for it. We can take care of our own. We'll find a way to take care of our football players, but it's the veterans that we're concerned about. And the cost, I did a little research, and let me share it with you. This astounded me. This just absolutely astounded me. There's 1,200 VA hospitals and facilities. If you put in 5 hyperbaric units in each one, at $20,000 each, that's $100,000. The service has funded the development of 2,443 jet fighter planes at $160 million each. It would only cost $148 million to put in 5 hyperbaric units at each of the 1,200 facilities. So instead of having 2,443 jet fighter planes, we'd have 2,442. We could live with that. We could live with that.
Careful Air Force spoken here, Ron.
In any event, everybody who's spoken about this has done a far more better job than I. Please take them seriously, and we appreciate your support.